Hey everyone, this is Lego Loco 5 from the Now server. A little bit about myself. I've been hosting Girgashiy dailies for a while now. For those who are unaware what dailies are, if you go to your quest, under repeat daily orders, you will see that the first 5 are related to Girgashiy. I'm not going to go over what the dailies are, that's probably for a different video, but I'm going to go over on how to do very hard mode RISS style. I'll explain all these acronyms a little bit later. After the dailies, I usually do a public Hasidim, and we seem to kill it within a few minutes. I figured I should be able to teach those who come to the dailies on how to do the same strategy that works well with Hasidim. So let's get started, shall we? The first thing I usually do is assign roles, the standard shield, spike, and blade. I'm probably going to mispronounce some of these names, so bear with me. The first thing that you guys should know is that when you join very hard mode Girgashiy or Hasidim, the rows are your groups. For example, the first shield group is Natalina, Arithion, and Ain. The next shield group is Abigail, Little Asian Man 8, and Red Joker. And we continue going down the list for shield groups 3 and 4. Shield group 5 is a little different. I usually group them with the last 2 bladers. So Mineral will be with Lakin and Zen. The 6th shielder, Phantom Banana, he is in the solo group because this gives me a mobility to move people around should somebody leave. It also allows me to assign debuff roles, which I'll explain later, to Phantom Banana. Other hosters may put Fana into shield group 6, which is completely acceptable. I just want you guys to learn this way, and that way you can change rules around much easier. The reason why we have groups is because a shielder can only shield 2 other people, the spiker and the blader, except for group 5 where he or she shields the last 2 bladers. So let's go on to the subskills of shield and spike. I get asked, shouldn't we have minimum requirements for these things? And I noticed that in the daily parties, people have various skill ranks, so I'm not going to enforce them. However, here are some skills that you guys should work on. For Shield of Trust, you should have a minimum rank of 6 because this gives us 50% damage reduction when Girgashiy performs his hail attack. However, as long as it's above 9, I'm probably okay with it. The utmost important subskill for Shield of Trust is Giving Heart. If you were to take on Hasidim, Giving Heart at level 15 increases your Shield of Trust range by 210 centimeters. This allows your party members to be slightly farther away, and you don't have to be standing on top of each other. The next subskill for Shield of Trust is Guarded Footsteps. At level 15, your movement speed and your party members are increased by 38%. This allows you to run quicker to the raid boss. Celestial Spike is actually a very important skill. Each rank decreases the damage reduction an apostle has by 3%. In addition to this damage reduction, in order to reach the blade phase, we must have a minimum required total ranks from all the party members. For normal Girgashiy, you need 17, and for hard mode, you need 27. I assume we need 37 total ranks, so that means we should have 3 rank 1 spikers. However, I know you guys haven't trained spikes a lot, so as long as we get 4 spikers, we'll probably be okay. The subskill for Celestial Spike that you guys should be focusing on is Spreading Faith. At level 15, it increases your cast range by 210 centimeters, so you don't have to be right under the raid boss to spike it. And that's it for all the Crusader skills. The reason why I don't go over Blade is because I don't really care what rank blade you have nor the subskills you have. My specific requirement when I'm hosting is that a good blader should crit over 100,000 damage when we fully debuff the raid boss. This also means that you guys should understand that the bladers almost never change. I've seen this happen in Hasidim. It's almost always the same 6 people, and I will put the same 6 people in my very hard mode, Girgashiy. If you forgot what any of this means, don't worry, I'm actually going to link a Google Docs written version of this video down in the description below. Alright, let's get into some of the fun roles, the debuff roles, or buff. BFO stands for Battlefield Overture, SS for Support Shot, Upper for Spinning Uppercut, DM for Death Mark, Smoke for Smokescreen, Fate for Fate Weaver, RI for Rage Impact, and Dragon, the bone/mirror dragon pet. Battlefield Overture is a bard skill that buffs party members. At rank 1, the base is 20% increase to minimum and maximum damage, and 11% critical hit rate. It lasts about 30 seconds. It can be improved by various means, such as reforges, enchants, and titles. Support Shot. Like I said earlier in the video, and the title of this video, this is part of the RISS method. On the next melee attack, the enemy will take more damage. At rank 1, a 70% attack boost. SS must be applied before each attack, and that's why we have to apply it before each blade drops to get the most damage out. Support Shot can be improved by various means, such as enchants, reforges, and titles. Spinning Uppercut. This is a stage 2 fighter combo skill. At rank 1, it reduces the target's defense by 30 and protection by 10. It can be improved by various means, such as enchants, reforges, or titles. Death Mark, a chain skill that gives the target more damage from all sources. At rank 1, the target receives 20% more damage. It can be improved by various means, such as reforges, enchants, and titles. Smokescreen. This skill lowers the target's defense and protection. At rank 1, it reduces the target's defense by 20 and protection by 7. It can be improved by various means, such as reforges, enchants, and titles. Fate Weaver, a technique unlocked by doing Generation 23. It can be used to buff a party member's stats or lower a monster's stats. There are various ways to apply this. Either you take the bladers and apply it on themselves, or have someone else apply it onto the monster. Rage Impact. Like I said before earlier in the video, this is part of the RISS method. It requires you to hold a blunt, sword, or axe weapon. During the next melee attack, the target will take more damage. At rank 1, 50% attack boost. Rage Impact must be applied before each attack, so that's why we have to apply it before each blade drops. At the time of this video, Rage Impact does not have a way to boost its damage. Dragon Pets. The Bone Dragon executes Devil's Dash on summon and lowers target's defense and protection within the area. It reduces defense by 15 and protection by 10. It stacks with the Mirror Dragon. The Mirror Dragon executes Lightning Breath upon summoning. Like the Bone Dragon, it lowers all targets' defense and protection within the area. Same as the Bone Dragon, defense by 15 and protection by 10. They stack with each other. As you can probably guess by now, if we apply all these debuffs to a target monster, specifically a raid boss, we can deal a lot of damage. And that's why this RISS method works very well. On that note, this reminds me to tell you guys that RISS only works if you have 5 to 6 really strong bladers. And that's why when I'm hosting, I'm looking for bladers who can critical hit over 100,000 damage. So now that you know what the roles and debuffs are, let me give you an example of what I say before entering the mission. BFO Drill, SS nat/lego, upper fana, dm, mena, smoke, arith, dragon, nat. The reason why it's in this format is because I can copy and paste it, and that way I can remind people what their roles are. It also allows me to update the roles should somebody leave. Rage Impact is a little different because we have to apply it before each blade. It goes something like this: RI1, Lego, RI2, Ain, RI3, Joker, RI4, Arith, and RI5, Emoto. The reason why you didn't hear me say Fate during the debuff section is because we don't really need that for very hard mode. I'm still educating you on when and what it is because it plays a very important role when doing Hasidim. Alright, let's get into when should we apply debuffs. BFO can be played before entering or after entering, since there is a period of time before Girgashiy jumps. I don't really care when you play it as long as it's applied. SS is applied before every attack, but since there's two of us, we just keep spamming the skill. Uppercut needs to be applied as soon as possible because since this is a melee attack, if I were to Rage Impact first or apply a support shot, it's going to strip that away. So we need to have Uppercut as soon as possible. You can apply Uppercut before he jumps because we're glitching his AI, or after he lands. It doesn't really matter as long as it's before RISS. DM. Like Uppercut, this needs to be applied as soon as possible. Most chain attacks are melee, so it may strip RISS. Try to apply it during Uppercut. Smoke. This is actually a range attack, so it does not strip RISS. Apply it anytime after he lands, preferably as soon as possible. Fate. For the bladers who are targeting themselves, you can do so during the jump animation. For those who are debuffing the target monster, please apply it anytime after Girgashiy lands, preferably as soon as possible. Rage Impact. This is a little tricky. For RI1, you have to play it right after Uppercut, so you should have your sound effects on and pay really close attention. Otherwise, it will strip RI. RIs 2, 3, 4, and 5, and possibly 6 are pretty much right after the blade. The dragon debuff should be used by elves who have hide, and that way when we enter, the dragon can debuff Girgashiy. Don't worry if you forgot any of this. We're about to go through the walkthrough soon, so I'll definitely pause the video for you guys to see when these debuffs should be applied. Alright, so before we get to the walkthrough, I'm going to go over some ground rules. These rules are there to help you not make other hosters angry at you, especially in Hasidim. It's very competitive. Rule number 1. Don't request any roles unless I ask you to. This is an organized raid and I need to have all the correct people. Rule number 2. Stay in your groups. Like I said before early in this video, you need to stay with your shielder. Rule number 3. If you get separated, you'll have to learn to shield yourself. It's tricky to know when, but you will learn. In Hasidim, if you do not get shielded, everybody gets hit, unlike Girgashiy. Rule number 3.1. If a spiker has to shield himself, you should call spike in all chat so a blader can spike. This is required because you need to have a total levels of spike onto the boss monster in order for us to reach the blade phase. Rule number 3.2. If a shielder fails for a blader, you need to type blade number so we know who to skip. For example, if blade 2 dies, he or she should type in BL2, and that means blade 3 has to drop his blade after the first one. Don't hesitate. Rule number 4. Do not attack during blade phase, and this includes your pets, unless you know how to control them. Attacking during blade phase strips RISS and we lose damage for our bladers. Rule number 5. Play dead if you're a human or an elf, hide if you're an elf, and Crisis if you're a giant upon entering. We are trying to glitch the monster's AI, both for Hasidim and Girgashiy, and it makes it easier to complete the mission. Rule number 6. If a hoster calls exit, then you should exit. If you're not the hoster, please don't say exit because it will confuse people. Rule number 6.1. If we do not exit, you need to shield yourself on the next jump, because we are going to continue DPSing. On that note, for those who are unaware what DPS stands for, it means damage per second. This term is used to describe use all of your best skills and hit the enemy. Our goal is to deal as much damage as possible per second, and therefore we don't have to use bladers anymore. Okay, let's get into on how to do very hard mode Girgashiy. This was recorded some time ago, and I probably forgot who were given the debuff roles. For now, just focus on your groups. Row 1 is Nalina, Arethayan, and Ain. Group 2 is Abigail, Zen, Sushi, etc., etc. Step 1. Before we enter, follow Rule 5. Play dead, hide, giants get ready to crisis. We do need one giant to mount a pet, because when the de-summon happens, it resets Girgashiy AI, and he gets stuck in one spot. After the first staff swing, get up and unhide. Step 1 is also where the dragon roll comes into play. As you can see here, Natalina is walking over to Girgashiy and summoning her dragon pet to get the debuff in. Step 2. Get into your groups. Follow Rule 2 and stick to them. Remember, if you don't get shielded, you'll die, and we could really use your help to defeat the objective. Step 3. This is where BFO can be played while waiting for the hail to come down. It takes about 30 seconds, so when we're getting into groups and we're waiting for the jump, you have time. Also in Step 3, follow Rules 3 and 3.1. If a spiker gets separated, you have to shield yourselves, and you should call spike in all chat. If we fail this phase, follow Rule 6. If the hoster calls exit, we exit. Step 4. When he comes down, spike it. Step 5. Okay, this is where things get tricky. During and right after the spike phase, we try to throw as many debuffs as possible. DM, SS, uppercut, smoke, and fate, and they all go into boost the bladed damage. Since I am on rage 1, I need to rage right after uppercut goes, so I need to pay attention and listen for the sound effects. Step 6. Also part of RISS method is that we blade order from the party list top to bottom. Ain is first, then Sushi, then Bao Bao, then Drill, then Norb, then Fana. Step 7. If you're blading, trust your RI to rage because you will need to drop as quickly as possible. The stun times are pretty short in Girgashiy. For non-bladers, follow Rule 4. Do not attack during the blade phase. This is where Rule 3.2 comes into play. If a shielder fails and a blader dies, you kinda need to pay attention to the alt chat and possibly the party list. For example, if Blade 2 dies and Blade 3 is then after Blade 1, the order gets again pushed around. It's kinda tricky to know when, so as long as you're running this often, you'll get used to it and it'll be much smoother the next time around. Step 8. After all the blades are down, we perform DPS method while Girgashiy is stunned from the bladers and spikers. Step 9. Follow Rule 6. If the hoster calls exit, we exit. This is because sometimes his HP is too high and we did not get enough critical hits in, and he might be above 60% HP. So, this is where Rule 6.1 comes into play too. If I do not call exit, say his HP is only down to 10%, you need to shield yourself during the next hail, and that way we can continue DPSing. Part of the problem is that during Mineral Hail for Girgashiy, everybody gets pushed back, and therefore you're separated from your groups. Congratulations, you made it to step 10. After we killed him, grab your loot. If I'm your host, I will actually wait for you to grab all your loot. Other hosters may ask you to grab your apostle ring to complete a weekly order and get out as soon as possible. This is because they want to get as many runs as possible within the hour or so. And that's about it. That's how we do a 50-second very hard mode Girgashiy run. Hasidim is about the same thing. It takes about 50 seconds in and out. Enjoy the next few clips of us clearing very hard mode Girgashiy. I'll be sure to label each section with rules and steps so you guys can get a better sense of what's happening in real time. Alright, that's about it. Thanks for watching the video, you guys. What I've shown you guys in the past half hour or so is all the fundamentals and basics of the RISS method. Like everything else, when you implement it in the real world, things don't go according to plan and you need to improvise, such as people leaving and you're missing rolls here and there. The clips I've shown you don't actually have any big failures, such as we failed to shield or we failed to spike, so as long as you're following the 6 rules that I've mentioned before, I think you will do a lot better when you join a Hasidim run. Feel free to rewatch this video again, but if you're a reader, I'll leave a link in the description below to my Google Docs written version.